I'll ask the funders in the group what advice you have for other funders who want to do more work in racial equity and also who are interested in impact investing. How can they get started? So we'll start with both Tiffany and Dr. Danette Howard to just give us one or two strategies that have worked for you all as you have first started in this area, and what advice you'd give funders who want to jump in as they've heard about your work. So we'll start with the two of you, just quick pointers for those who want to get involved.
Sure. I think the first thing is to reach out to other people. So I think I want to give Claudia a lot of credit here because the Indiana Philanthropy Alliance is really connected to a lot of foundations. And, you know, when we started in this space of doing bigger things in racial justice, Claudia was a great resource. So it's totally okay to ask other people, who should I be talking to? What should I be doing? The other thing I did is a lot of research, right? I didn't claim to be an expert. So I spent a lot of time reading. I made my team read a lot. We spent a lot of time on the internet, and we are constantly researching in every way possible, including calling people like Una. And so I think you need to make sure that your work is thoughtful and you aren't just reactive, but you have enough data to make smart calls.
I love it. Data and research, right up my own alley. So thank you. Now let's turn to Dr. Danette Howard, just some pointers for funders who want to get involved, because I think there are quite a few funders that are joining us today.
Sure. Well, I would start by saying that you have to be clear about what you're hoping to achieve. You know, this is a moment where you see some individuals and perhaps some organizations being reactive to the moment, but what can you do to set up a strategy that will be sustainable and that actually will be focused on outcomes? So for us, as we reaffirmed our commitment really to equity this year, that meant being very clear, first of all, about what we meant by equity, right? So for us, that means we'll have an equitable world when outcomes cannot be determined by race or ethnicity. And we wanted to have a crystal clear definition so that everyone in our organization could know it and could ensure that their work was reflected in that definition. And we added to our commitment to equity the word justice, because justice is about dismantling systems of oppression and institutional racism. And in order to really kind of eradicate these injustices, we have to get to the root cause of the problem, which is the dismantling of those systems. And finally, I would have to say, each organization has to identify what their non-negotiables are. You know, what are their bright lines that they are not willing to cross? And for us, we had to take a hard look in the proverbial mirror and say, our grantees, our partners do not fully reflect the equity populations that we have prioritized. So we have to do things differently. That means we are going to expect that our partners are diverse in terms of representation, and not just in terms of structural representation, but that there is a sense of equity mindedness, that they can talk about what they've done to be able to lead on equity. It's easy to say I have equity as a priority, but what's the self-work that has happened within that organization? And then also, what does your board leadership look like? And so that means that some of our longtime partners might find themselves on the other side of our equity first commitment. And so we will have to perhaps make some very tough decisions or provide some additional opportunities for our partners to become more equity focused and equity first centric.
Fantastic point. So you have to start with a clear objective and strategy. And you also have to look both within your current strategy and externally as well.